What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 9 of the Talk Nerdy With Me podcast. I'm your host, Nicholas Merrington, and I'm joined once again by James Creel. James, how you doing?
I wonder if people are ever just waiting for you just to not have to say once again and it's going to be someone different.
I know. But imagine how cool it's going to be when I
Yeah.
get someone different, and then you're back on the show after that. And then I'll be like,
Oh
once
my. And
again,
then,
joined by James
oh,
Creel.
and that, I like how you assume that you can't have three people. If you get someone different, it's just, James, go away.
That takes up a lot of real estate, on the screen. And I don't have a good enough laptop as it is recording the two of us. Sometimes it struggles. I'm a bit worried of what 3 people might do.
I don't think that'll change anything.
I don't know.
In all honesty.
I mean, I could test it, but still, we'll get there one day, James. But how you doing?
Not too bad. I tried a vegetarian burger patty tonight.
I'm sorry.
So that was interesting.
Those are the Woolies
It's not
one.
terrible. No, they're that Fries brand.
Okay.
That they can get them at Pick and Pay. I assume at other stores. It's some South African brand.
And would you say it tasted similar to any kind of meat, like chicken or something, or was it its own complete taste?
No, it did. It simulated beef well enough. Like, I mean, you wouldn't bite into it and think it was chicken, because I've tried their chicken patties as well.
Yeah.
Crumbed chicken patties, and those actually taste like chicken.
Okay.
Those are really good, actually. But this one, it was okay. Like, I think if I ate it more often, I'd get used to it, and I'd just be like, cool.
Okay.
But for the first time eating it, I was just like, it's not bad. But I was glad it was on a burger, so I had cheese, tomato sauce, lettuce, cucumber, other things to not make me have to taste only it the whole time.
And are you considering going vegetarian now, or what was your reason for actually giving it a try?
Because the world is screwed, and I was just like, okay, let's do something. And the best I can do is like just try swap out some meals during the days, weeks, whatever, with vegetarian alternatives. So it just seemed like an idea of something to do. So I decided to start trying it.
Nice. Well done.
Thank you.
I mean,
You're not going to try it, are you?
I have tried the Woolies, the Woolies vegan patty. It's kind of like it looks like a chicken one. It doesn't taste anything like chicken. It's very weird, but not a huge fan. I mean, I could eat it, but I do love my meat a little bit too much to give it up completely. But
that's why I'm doing this like every couple days, not give up completely.
Yeah, well, back you. Well done.
I would
Very
recommend go try the fries stuff. You might like it.
Okay.
At least the chicken burger, I think you'll enjoy.
I probably won't, but if you remind me enough, I might give in. But anyway, enough about the vegetarian food. We're here to talk about video games, if you didn't know, because this is the Talk Nerdy With Me podcast, the show that revolves around all things video games. We love to chat, discuss, and argue about the things we love about video games, and we want you to be a part of the show too. If you want to be a part of the show, you can write in with a question, or you can send in your own answers to talknerdywithme21@gmail.com, and go give us a follow on Instagram at Talk Nerdy With Me podcast. We've got an awesome show for you today. We're going to be going over the PS4 exclusives and deciding amongst the two of us what we think the best PS4 exclusive is. But before we get there, James, a quick icebreaker. On the PS3, there was a sensational game called PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. And if they were to make a PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale 2 with all the Sony exclusive characters, what character would be your main?
If I was going to go with someone that I think would be like OP in a fighting game, I'd say Kratos.
God of War 2018.
So Kratos.
If they had like 2 versions, if they had like Dad Kratos and Angry Kratos, which one would you go with?
Dad Kratos, he's got an axe and he's got the Blades of Chaos.
Nice.
Angry Dad Kratos, I mean, Angry Kratos has like many different whip chain blade-ish things.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's more satisfying to have the Leviathan axe as well than just multiple bladey, chainy things.
It's a good answer.
And you?
My answer.
Who do you think would win?
My answer would be Abby from The Last of Us Part 2, because she is jacked, and I feel like she could even take down Kratos.
Let's be a bit more realistic here.
You know, she's pretty big, James. You gotta say. I mean, did you see those biceps and triceps? They kind of put them in your face a lot in the game, trying to remind you that she's pretty strong.
I think both of her arms, fully like flexed, stacked
Yeah,
on top of each other, are still half of one of Kratos' biceps.
I know, but if you look at a game like Smash
Uh,
Brothers, I mean, how some of the matchups that happen in there and they're working, you know, like I'm sure that
that that's be,
if an
but
Animal
that's
Crossing
because
villager can
Kirby.
beat Bowser, then I think Abby can beat Kratos.
We don't know the background of the Animal Crossing villager. They could be very, very dangerous. They could be a retired hitman, and now they're just living out in your town for the rest of their lives because they're retired.
Okay, I think you're
And I
giving
mean,
it a bit too much context here. Abby
we also
has a
know
chance.
Kirby is OP.
Mhm. Very true, very true. I would never underestimate Kirby. But yeah, those are our answers. I'd love to know what you guys think. Let us know what character, what PlayStation exclusive character you would pick as your main if we got PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale 2. It's quite a mouthful. But anyway, we're gonna get straight into the topic of the show.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I am shocked you didn't pick Spider-Man.
No, I was going to, and I was like, you know what? This is just too much now. If I come here every week to say my favorite game, Spider Man, gonna pick Spider Man. He's gonna be my. It'll be a bit boring. It'll be a bit
Yeah,
predictable. I was actually considering going with Sully from Uncharted. I thought Sully would be quite fun because he's always every game he gets older and older, but each game it feels like he does more like stunts that a younger person
hardcore.
would do. So I just don't
That's true.
understand. Like if there was a graph, like his age is like going up, but his like the amount of I guess stunts, yeah, like stunts he does, it's going up with his age for some reason, which that shouldn't happen.
I
But
feel like I feel like his ultimate when you had to like boot someone off the stage, like the big shots,
mm,
would be he pours himself like a glass of scotch, takes one sip, throws the rest on you, lights his cigar, throws the match at you, and you just burn, and then you shoot off the side of the stage,
he
and
just
then he just smokes his cigar, and that's it.
like the Khan in Ghost of Tsushima, just throws it and then burns it. Nice. Anyway,
Anyway,
we're going to jump straight into the main topic, the best PS4 exclusive. James, I was thinking what we're going to do is we're going to I've got a list here of some of them, not every single one, but just the ones that I feel like need to be mentioned. If we do miss
and the
one
ones I
that
had
you
to
love,
remind you were
please.
actually exclusives.
Wasn't my fault. This is the literal PlayStation site was missing Horizon Zero Dawn somehow. But anyway, if we miss a game that
That's
you
a
love,
terrible one to
please email
miss.
it in so that we can read it on the show next week. But James, I was thinking I'm going to quickly run through this list. We're not going to say what we think our best game is yet. We'll save that for the end. And as I highlight each game, we can say whether we've played it or not, whether we intend to play it, maybe give like a little point or two on what you think about the game. And we're going to kind of do this in alphabetical order. So to start off with, the first game is Astrobot Rescue Mission, a PlayStation VR game, and a game that I unfortunately had no way of playing because I don't have PSVR, and I
Me
know James
neither.
is in the same boat. But this is a game that I would love to get my hands on. I feel like it would be something really up my alley. What do you think of it, James?
If I got VR, it wouldn't be the first game I'd get, but I'd definitely play it
Is it? What would be your
eventually.
first game?
I want to try Resi 7 in VR,
Okay.
and then Minecraft and No Man's Sky, because we already own both of those, and those are two like open world exploration games, which in VR just sounds incredible.
Yeah. If
Apparently, Minecraft's scary as hell in VR.
Oh, I'm sure. If I had to get VR now, I think my first game would actually be Beat Saber. I've just seen it too much
That's
and
fair.
haven't tried it, and I just want to do it. I mean, to mix the feeling of being a Jedi with Guitar Hero kind of rhythm game, I think that that'll be like my first pick.
No, that
Then
is a good one.
Blood and Truth, also another PSVR game. We both haven't gone to experience, something I would be interested in playing one day. How about I'm gonna go through it and you can stop me if there's something you want to say on that game. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
sure.
Next is Bloodborne, a game I did play. I did not finish. I made it about halfway through the game. I reckon my PS4 broke and I lost my save. And since restarting, I've only beat two bosses. And yeah,
I have not finished it. I've played a bit of it. I think I beat the first boss, and then I just didn't know where to go from there. And then other games came out. Like because we got it for free with PSN, my mind goes, "Hey, I didn't pay for this, so I don't have to play it."
Yeah,
but I don't
I
feel
get that a
as much
lot.
of a desire to finish it.
Yeah.
If I bought a game, I feel a desire to finish it a lot more than PS Plus games. So I ended up just dropping it.
A next game is one that's very special to me, and that's Concrete Genie. Um, uh, we both played through this, finished in about a day or two, and absolutely loved it. I think if you haven't played it, it is definitely something worth your time. Um,
It's a it's nice as a chill out game
yeah,
if you want something that you don't have to be excessively violent in. It's nice for that. Uh, yeah, I enjoyed it. It's not my usual type of game though, but I did enjoy it as well.
yeah. I'm just rethinking our little method here. I think this is going to take a while and be very back and forth. So I'm actually just going to list all the games. Then we're going to go through them in terms of what did you play, what didn't you play, and then what did you love. So I'm just going to quickly list the rest we got listed here, and that is Days Gone,
Okay.
Dreams, Drive Club, Firewall Zero Hour, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, Gran Turismo Sport, Horizon Zero Dawn, Infamous Second Son and Infamous First Light, Killzone Shadowfall, Knack and Knack 2, The Last Guardian, Last of Us Part 2, Little Big Planet 3, Marvel Spider-Man, Marvel's Iron Man VR, MLB The Show, Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal, The Order 1886, Ratchet and Clank, Resogun, Street Fighter 5, Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. James is playing around in the dock here while I'm reading. Uncharted Lost Legacy and Until Dawn. So a whole bunch of games, a whole lot of amazing games there, and a whole lot that I even left off just because they aren't games that James and I have played or are necessarily interested in a sense. But James,
You
let me
also
just, yeah,
you
sorry,
forgot that No Man's Sky was technically an
James,
exclusive for a while.
let's not even go there. Let's not even go there. So, James, the first question I just want to throw over to you is, what games on this awesome list of games have you not played but still intend to go back to?
So main games that I still intend to play is definitely Days Gone. And since we're getting it, well, since I've got my PS5 pre-order locked and it's part of the PS Plus collection, I'm definitely going to play that then
I
when
just
I
want
get it
to
for free.
I just want to correct you. Our PS5 pre-order. Thank you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Just move back to
We'll
move to the Western
we'll go
Cape, Nick.
1 week. We'll just FedEx it to each other every other week.
Funny jokes, Nick. No ways am I doing that. I definitely also want to play Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm just waiting for that to go onto a sale. I want that to be cheaper because I'm not a huge Final Fantasy person, so I'm not really as invested in getting it. Um, Otherwise, The Last Guardian, I also want to give that a try. And since that's also going to be once again free with the PS Plus collection, I'll play that later. Iron Man VR and like we spoke about those earlier VR games. A lot of VR games like Blood and Truth, Iron Man VR. I want to give those a try just because they seem fun, and because I do want to invest in VR whenever they announce PSVR 2 or
Yeah.
whatever the new one will be. Because I feel like then they will have worked out so many kinks. Okay, but that's a separate thing. And otherwise, I really want to play Persona 5 Royal, but because there's so many new games coming and I've experienced like 2/3 of what the story of Royal will already be, I've been telling myself to wait for a bigger sale and just let that game be like an overwhelming treat when I can waste over 150 hours playing one game straight. So that's a wait. And then the Order 1886, I also wouldn't mind trying just because it's like, it's not supposed to be long, but at the same time, because it's not long, buying it just doesn't feel worthwhile. But it looks really good, like visually. But apparently that's the only thing good about it because the gameplay is apparently a bit boring. But yeah, otherwise, those are the only ones that I'd care to play like specifically. Like Resogun, like I remember when PS4 launched, that was like one of the launch titles for PS4 and was like a big deal because there was nothing else to play.
Yeah.
And Street Fighter 5 we have
PS Plus.
From PS Plus. Also we have Knack, but I haven't played either of those.
I mean, how much would someone have to pay you to play Knack?
A fair amount. I don't like platformers too much.
Nice.
Yeah, no, like I'd never buy it because I'm not creative enough for it to be worthwhile, but Dreams also would be fun to just try.
Yeah.
That's like
I totally
being
agree.
a whole creative studio thing.
I think just on Dreams, I think Dreams as well, I think would be something I'd also buy when it was on like a hectic special, because I think just the amount of stuff in there is insane. I'd love to experience it. But I do think that, like, I hope for PS5 that I think there's such a market for almost like a stripped down version of Dreams where it just allows people to play other people's creations and not create. So almost like a Dreams Lite. I hope they maybe think of something like that so that I don't have to buy the full game until I feel like creating myself, because I feel like I'll get too overwhelmed. But yeah, I also want to pick that up. Just some games from my side. I'm not going to list as many. I'm just going to list the main ones I really want to play. And that's, if I ever got VR, I'd love to get Astrobot. I'd love to get Firewall Zero. Well, we own Firewall Zero. Firewall Zero. Oh, I am saying that correct. Yeah, we own it from PS Plus, but obviously we can't play it yet because we don't have PSVR. But those are two that I'd love to play. And Beat Saber, like I said, but that's not a PS4 exclusive. And then the other games that I haven't gotten to play yet that I really want to are Days Gone. I would really love to try. And Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like you, I'm also not a big Final Fantasy person at all. So I don't want to pay a lot of money for it without knowing that if I'm going to really enjoy it and if I'd even see the game through to the end. And the other thing is Uncharted Lost Legacy. I love the Uncharted games and I've heard a lot of good things about this. So it's something I really want to get one day. Yeah. Something I want to hopefully get one day. And whether that is when it eventually comes to PS Plus or if it's on a very good deal, I'll just have to wait till then. But yeah, other than that, most of the other games I've either played or I'm not really interested in, or at least we own through PS Plus, and I've just never felt like giving it a shot. But I guess, yeah, so those are the games we both haven't played yet. But I guess the main discussion we're here for, James, is what is your favorite exclusive of this generation? So do you want to take us away?
I can definitely narrow it down to like maybe a top. Okay, well, I can definitely say.
3.
I was about to say I can give you like a top 6.
Okay. Well, make the top 6 in your head and then randomly eliminate 3.
Okay, look, I'm definitely going to have to say Persona 5. How dare you? This is written as saying Person 5 in this document.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah, it says Person 5.
No, the A's there. You took it away.
I just put the A there. Anyway, so Persona 5 definitely has to be one of them. So one of my favorite games of the whole generation. And then I'm very torn because like Spider-Man, Uncharted 4, Last of Us, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon Zero Dawn. Oh, that's 6 other games. I'm making this hard, Nick.
Is like, it? Do you want some more time to think?
Yeah. You added these questions later, so I didn't know I'd have to think of this.
All right. Well, I'll give my top 3 so long.
You always ask me things first, but you always know that you've added the questions so late that I don't have time to prepare these.
I'm just trying. I just have to. Well, when you do it on the spot and you haven't had time to think about it, then I feel like your answer is going to be more genuine. I'm just trying to get the genuine out of you. I don't want you here being like, oh, Persona 5's it hands down. I mean, maybe it's not. Maybe Persona 5's not as good as you actually think.
Well, actually, it still is hands down the number 1. I'm picking numbers 2 and 3 now.
So you're just playing around. All right. Anyway, all right. My top 3 is before I go on. Actually, let me just say, my obvious answer would be Spider-Man. That's my favorite PS4 exclusive, and it is. I'm not trying to take away from that. What I'm actually decided to do, because that is way too obvious, is I'm going at it what I think the best PS4 exclusive is for a person who bought a PS4 today for the first time and could choose one game out of the entire PlayStation 4 exclusive library for some reason. What game do I think they need to play? And for that reason, I'm not going to just say, oh, it's Spider-Man, because then, it's a bit too obvious. So my top 3, I would say, Spider-Man's still in the top 3. I'd say Spider-Man. I would say God of War. And as for my third one, that's where I get a little stuck. Because these first 2 are personal. They're my 2 favorite games on the PS4, I would say. And now I'm a bit stuck between Horizon Zero Dawn and Ghost of Tsushima, I think. And
wow, not even Last of Us Part 2.
The reason I say that is I prefer The Last of Us Part 1 to The Last of Us Part 2. So I don't want to
Fair.
come out and be like it's the best PS4 exclusive. Also, I think that game fits is a masterpiece alongside The Last of Us Part 1, not necessarily on its own. I think God of War and Spider-Man on their own, they stand on their own. So third game, I'm going to give it to Ghost of Tsushima over Horizon Zero Dawn. So I'd say those are my top three. And before I give what I think is the PS4 exclusive, the best PS4 exclusive, I'm going to throw it back over to you. You've had a bit of time to think now. Have you been able to narrow down at least the second answer?
I definitely have to actually agree with you that my second is probably God of War, just because uh, just for the vibration of the Leviathan axe coming back to your hand, you're just like,
Yeah. It's worth picking up
satisfied.
just for that. You don't need to play the story. It's just axe throwing and catching simulator.
Yeah, you just start the game. You don't even leave the opening area, or you don't leave the first section where you can throw the axe. You just don't move from there. Um, then I definitely have to say my third is
Haven't heard of
I'm
that game.
still. Why do I feel like there's a chance there is a game that's just called Oof?
There definitely is.
It's probably some indie game on Steam.
Okay, James, come. We
Um,
got to narrow this down. So you've got Persona 5, you've got God of War. What are your other options? What are you trying to pick between?
what would define if I had to pick another thing that I think defines the PS4 overall? Hmm, I don't know. I feel like if I was going by your category stuff, like something that someone who's got the PlayStation and I'd give them stuff that I'm like, okay, you have to play this.
Hmm.
I think I might have to go with Spider-Man just because I feel like there's not a single person that can pick that game up and try the web swinging and not immediately have fun with it.
Yeah.
Like with all the others, it feels like you could not enjoy turn-based if you played Persona 5. You could somehow, as the heath you are, hate the art style, which I don't think is possible, but I'm pretty sure someone could hate it.
Someone could hate Morgana. I mean, there's a chance.
Yeah, but yes, but that's not the art style. Everyone mocks Morgana.
I know.
But and God of War, some people just don't like big hairy dads, so they might not like, or you know what I mean. That it's just the violence in that one. Someone might not like that. So if I'm thinking of something that's like definitely the one game that I think you could give to anyone, and no matter who they are, they'd probably have the most fun playing it. Would have to probably be Spider-Man, just because it's you could give it to like a 5-year-old and they don't even have to fight anyone. They could just spend the whole time web swinging and they would still tell you that the game was amazing.
I
So
really
I
like
think if I
that
had to go with
answer.
that, if I had to go with that type of type of category, my third one would have to be Spider-Man.
Okay. So,
Just because as well, like Uncharted 4 and Last of Us Part 2, like you said, they work because of their prior
predecessors, yeah.
games. They're such story heavy games, they work because of that.
Okay,
Without
well,
them, it
how
feels a
about
bit.
how about we go about it like this? We're gonna each say what our personal favorite PS4 game is, and then we're gonna say what is the PS4 game you recommend to someone who picks up a PS4 today. So I'll go first. So my favorite PS4 game, as I've said over and over again, is Marvel Spider-Man on PS4. The PS4 game I recommend someone picks up if they were to pick up a PS4 today, despite what I said earlier, is still Spider-Man on PS4. Like you said, I think it's just the game that everybody will love. But if I
Yeah.
had to give a different answer, I would say God of War. God of War is a masterpiece. I say Spider-Man to me is a masterpiece, but I do see flaws in the game itself. God of War, on the other hand, is like I have no doubt in my mind that it is a masterpiece. From the storytelling to the gameplay to the one shot throughout the entire game. I think that's something
Oh
that you
yes,
need
that
to experience if you were to get a PS4 today. So those are my two answers, and I know I cheated a little bit, but yeah. So I'll throw it back to you.
let's face facts.
Yeah.
We're gonna have lots of struggles to decide if Spider-Man is still a masterpiece with new Peter Parker face.
Yo, at least his new face makes sense for the shape of his head when he's got his mask on. I noticed because the old model, at least, his head's a little fatter. So I was wondering, always wondered, like, the shape of them when the mask was on looks like odd, and now it looks like it fits. So that's the only thing I like about it so far.
It's still unfortunate that he looks like discount Tom Holland.
Very true.
If only he didn't look if he didn't have a passing resemblance to Tom Holland, I feel like it would go over so much better. Anyway, back to the actual question. It's probably not going to change. Same thing I said when I tried to make the list. First one is Persona 5, because that's just my favorite game on PlayStation 4. And then I'd have to say the same thing I gave for the exact reasons I gave 2 minutes ago.
Nice.
Spider-Man's the one that definitely I'd say someone could just pick up, and it'd be a game that no matter who you are, I'd probably be able to recommend it to you and know you'd enjoy.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm glad we could come to an agreement on that.
Unless you're like a diehard DC fan who just like has their skin burn at the mention of Marvel, then you might not enjoy it.
Or unless you're a monster and you don't like Insomniac for some outrageous reason. But I don't think those people exist. But those are our favorite PS4 exclusives, our favorite ones, and the one we recommend if you have never owned a PlayStation before that you need to play. So if you have a PS4 and you have not played Marvel Spider-Man, do yourself a favor and go and pick it up. It is a sensational game and it is so special. And it's something that I feel like everybody needs to experience, especially with Miles Morales coming out soon. You want to get through that game before that, I'm sure. But yeah, that brings us to a close of that main segment. And now we're going to be moving on to another awesome question from a friend of the show, Alex Wood, who wrote in again to talknerdywithme21@gmail.com. I say that, I actually lie, he WhatsApped me. But if you want to write in, go to talknerdywithme21@gmail.com. And he wrote in, he said, do you have any favorite examples of common gameplay features that are dressed up in creative ways? If so, what are they and why? For example, in Ghost of Tsushima, the objective waypoint is shown to you by means of the guiding wind, which is essentially part of the scenery, so it preserves immersion. So James, do you want me to go first? Are you still thinking? Do you have an answer of gameplay mechanics?
I do have one. You can go first this time, though.
All right, I'll go first.
I always seem to go first, so I mean.
You do. It's just because I'm a kind host. I just like to let the guest go first. You know.
Oh, of course, it's kindness, not delaying tactics.
It's kindness. I mean, if I was in Ni no Kuni, you know, you could come to me and use the take heart spell, and you could get a lot of kindness out of this art. You know what I'm saying? You should get it. You play Ni no Kuni.
I know. You know, to be fair, I named one of the familiars after all my friends. So there's a familiar named Nick.
Which one did you name Nick?
You know, in the Golden Grove, you get that sprite. That's you.
The green one that came out of the tree.
Green sprite. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any reason that one was me? Was you just going in order?
No, because the first two that I got, I named after Electra and Jake because they're in the house with me. So I found it funny to walk up to Electra every time my might leveled up and said, "Hey Electra, you went to level 5," and then she'd tell me to go away.
Nice. I've got that pixie one. His name's Tinkerboy, and then the like lemur looking one's name is Julian.
I named that one Jake.
Nice. Anyway, let's get back to the question. Common gameplay features that are dressed up in creative ways. And the one I'm going to go with first is from Red Dead Redemption 2. And that is just when you go to the shops in Red Dead Redemption 2 to keep you immersed in the game. It doesn't take you out of the game and put you in menus. Some shops do, but for most of them what they do is there's a book on the counter that opens and you kind of look through the book and you see Arthur's fingers move in through the book and flip in the pages. And I found that really immersive. And to be honest, I couldn't think of a lot of examples off the top of my head to answer this question, but this was one that came to mind, something that just kept me in the game and made me feel like I wasn't going through a menu, but was actually reading a book within the game. So that is something I really enjoyed, even though you had to look at Arthur's ugly fingernails for like 60 hours.
I mean, you could also add then the GTA phone as well.
True. But I think
as a similar thing to that.
I think that takes you out a little more because the phone's like, you know, bottom left of the screen just popping up, whereas this is you going into first person, actually interacting with it.
You page through the book.
Yeah.
So I thought of one. Wasn't the one I mentioned to you earlier, or the one I thought of earlier. I just thought of it now again. Basically, it's Assassin's Creed again, but it's the fact that whenever you die, or whenever you do something that the game doesn't want you to do, you don't die and respawn, you desynchronize. So they dressed up the whole video game concept of respawning and loading and saving games, whatever. They dressed up inside a mechanic in the game, which is the animus itself, or inside a concept. So the whole idea that you don't ever die. So in the game, that you never feel like you're taken out of the immersion because you're like, oh no, Ezio just died. But he obviously never would have died. And it's just like, no, you didn't die. You desynchronized because you messed up the memory. And so you didn't do exactly what your ancestors did in the past, thus desynchronized. And then you're reloaded back to the last place that was stably synchronized. And it's just very clever because then the whole time in the game, you're never taken out of the experience by dying because you're not like, oh, I am still playing a video game because if this was an actual thing, I wouldn't be able to die like that and then just come back. So I think it's really cool for immersion, but that's like it. The whole concept of reloading was built into the lore, which is just really cool.
That's a really cool answer. Yeah, I think that's a good example as well. Like it was a whole new take on failing a mission. You know, when you fail a mission in a game and it just simply said mission failed, but here the reason you're failing is because that's not how history went according to the Assassin's Creed universe. So I think that's really cool. The other thing that I thought was really cool, a dressed up gameplay mechanic, is something that actually no one knew about until I think it was about a year or two ago, where the developers explained it, and that is in Uncharted, when the screen goes like red and it goes in like a black and white grayscale and with a bit of red, and red showing where the bullets are coming from. Everyone was like, oh, how come Drake can get shot and then he can get into cover and heal and carry on? And the developers came out and they were like, no, that's actually Drake's luck. As the screen gets darker, his luck is running out, or it's getting lower and lower until eventually a bullet will hit him, and that's what causes him to die. So obviously we didn't know this. Like the game doesn't explain this to you, but since the developers have said that, and then going and revisiting these games, you can definitely like see like he's not getting hit with bullets. You know, there's no blood on him, nothing. It's going gray because his luck is literally running out. And I thought that was such a cool explanation for something in games that make no sense. Like if you take any Call of Duty game, how you're able to get shot and then just wait and you'll heal, you know? And I think them putting that in, or them saying that about Uncharted, just makes the game almost better. And I can't explain why, but it's just a mechanic. I don't even know if you want to call it a mechanic, but it is a feature or whatever you want to call it that's really satisfying, actually. Ciao.
Yeah, no, that one definitely is actually pretty cool. It's a great explanation for something that's just that like we just took for granted. The only other one I could think of is kind of like just a stupid joke, but it's infamous Second Son spray painting when you had to turn the controller and you had to turn the controller like this and you had to shake it so you could hear the spray paint.
The can.
Whatever the little thing inside a spray paint can is that makes that noise, you could hear it, and then you'd go and you'd hold R2 and you'd hold it that way and you'd use my whole controller is disappearing, so this is going terribly, but you'd use the 5-axis like motion controls and you'd hold R2 and you'd have to spray it and follow the whole thing. Like, obviously it was so gimmicky and so stupid.
It's truly next gen.
At the same time, like I appreciate like that they were just like, the PlayStation 4 can do this, so why don't we make you do it? And I'm just like, okay. It was so, yeah. It was weird, but it was funny. I enjoyed them taking it and making it not just be like, hold R2 to spray paint, and then it just does it for you.
I loved it. I wish there was like a free paint mechanic in that game. I think that would have worked well, because it was like stencils, you know, they're like taped over the wall, and this is what you need to paint. But I think a free paint mode, like if you could just go paint anywhere, that would have been really hilarious.
Concrete Genie
exactly.
version 1.
But yeah, those are some awesome answers, James. I really like them. And to all the listeners, if you want to write in with gameplay mechanics that have been dressed up for their games, you know, like we've given examples for now, and you want to write in with your answers or ideas, you can do so by writing into talknerdywithme21@gmail.com. And that actually brings us to the end of episode 9 of the Talk Nerdy With Me podcast. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like. Subscribe as well on YouTube and the podcast service you like to listen to, except Apple Podcasts because we're not there yet. And go follow us on Instagram at Talk Nerdy With Me Podcast. And remember, like I keep saying, if you want to be a part of the show, you can by writing in to talknerdywithme21@gmail.com with a topic that we can talk about on this show. And be sure to include your own points and answers that you want read on the show. And well, yeah, that pretty much wraps up episode 9. James, thank you once again for joining me.
You're welcome.
Oh, you're cutting out a bit here on my side.
And it's going to be 10 next week. Wow.
10, I know, the big 10. I don't know what
I
we're
said
going to do.
thank you. It was fun. And
Okay.
it's going to be 10 next week.
We're going to have to do something special for the big 10.
Yeah, I was saying basically exactly that.
Nice. All right, well,
the Big 10.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. This wraps up episode 9 of the Talk Nerdy With Me podcast, and we'll see you guys next week for episode 10. Cheers.
Goodbye.